Hello, rich ones. Welcome to our space. My name is Christine Ishampepe, the Money Mechanic, and I help you fix your finances. I am on a mission to equip Africa's younger population with adequate financial literacy, advice, and strategy so they can journey to financial freedom and live life purposefully on their own terms and to the fullest, because money is no more a barrier. I want you to live your best life. The Hot Money Talks podcast is a series of honest, open, and transparent money conversations that will guide you on your journey to financial freedom. Here on the podcast, we believe 100% that financial freedom is possible with the right set of knowledge, the right amount of time, and the right circle of people. Today on the podcast, we'll be learning about how to deal with financial stress as a Gen Z. So who's a Gen Z? A Gen Z is anyone born between 1997 and 2011. Now, according to a recent study conducted by Point Digital Finance in 2023, it was discovered that 64% of Gen Z citizens have agreed that personal finance concerns have a significant impact on their mental health. In other words, money matters, they stress them well. Now, this is true because of the many challenges facing them, from managing debts to, trying to save, to seeing how they can earn enough to meet up with the demands of adulthood and then the demands of family, also known as black tax, and even down to preparing for their future. In other words, retirement. Now, I know most Gen Zs don't like that word. Then, should we now talk about inflation? I mean, if you're in Nigeria or more, say it choke for us. Now, all this pressure therefore points to the fact that Gen Zs need financial literacy now more than ever. And today I'll be sharing some tips on how to manage financial stress as a Gen Z. The first tip is this: step back and organize your finances. You need to know your financial goals. You need to know your money personality. Are you a spender? Are you a saver? Are you a risk taker? Are you a security seeker? Are you a giver or are you a flyer? You need to know your money personality. You also need to know your money fears. What are your fears about money? Many of us, grew up with certain fears about money. You need to be able to confront those fears. What are your money beliefs? When money is mentioned, when matters of money come up, what is your mindset about money? Then what is your net worth? Very, very important. This is where you assess what your assets and your liabilities are. And your assets are basically things of value that put money in your pocket, while your liabilities are things that take money away from your pockets, aka debts. You also need to know your income streams. So where are you at? What are your sources of income? Where does money come to you from? Okay? Is it just from one source of income, or do you have multiple sources of income? Now, knowing all of this, right, will help you know where you need to adjust, where you need to make changes. You need to know where you are on your financial journey. This is very crucial. If you will be able to, make concrete plans for where you want to be, you really need to know where you're at. Secondly, be open about your financial struggles. What are your struggles when it comes to your finances? What are you struggling with? Where do you need to improve? What bad money decisions do you find yourself repeating over and over and over again? So do you constantly find yourself in debt? That's a red flag, right? You need to ask yourself these questions. Am I struggling with debts, right? You need to be comfortable with having honest, open, and transparent money conversations with yourself so that you can find help. Now, I've said this on the podcast over and over again. You cannot fix what you do not think is broken. And you must also remember that vulnerability is key when you are working towards financial freedom. This is the starting point, right? So you need to be open about what your financial struggles are. I've told this story many times about how, when I started on my financial journey, to financial freedom, I remember that I had to really, sit myself down and really identify what I was struggling with. And one thing I was struggling with was debt. And what was leading me into debt? After poking deep, I found out that it was compulsive spending. and longer throats, as Nigerians will call it, right? That kept pushing me into debt. Now, the moment I was able to identify what my financial struggles were, I was able to find the needed help. Now, the third tip is avoid comparison. Resist the urge to constantly compare your financial situation to others. Guys, peer pressure is real. And so you need to constantly remind yourself that personal finance is personal. And therefore, you need to stay focused on your goals and your journey. Don't allow anyone pressure you unnecessarily. Stick to your goals and your journey. The fourth tip is improve your money-making skills. Now, you can do this by picking up and improving on your hard and soft skills. When you do this, you are positioning yourself to increase income. Now, a quote that I have come to love a lot says, and I quote, "Money only comes to an elevated version of yourself," end of quote. Now, I'd like to just give a shout out to Coach Bobby Joachim for this life-changing quote. Money only comes to an elevated version of yourself. So the more you improve yourself, right, you become more valuable. And of course, you attract value. People are wired to pay for value, right? And because they are wired to pay for value, they cannot resist giving you their money when you present them with value that solves their problems. Now, the fifth and final tip is get financial education. This is the crux of it all, right? So it is not wealth that brings financial literacy. Rather, it is financial literacy that brings wealth. So in other words, having more money does not automatically mean that you have more knowledge on how to handle it. And so it is your responsibility to get financial literacy. When you have better knowledge and understanding of your finances, your confidence levels will rise and you will make better decisions, and also you'll be less stressed and worried. So get financial literacy. There are so many ways that you can learn about your finances. By listening to this podcast, you are already doing so, right? But then you can do much more. Read books that will improve your knowledge about money. Attend events, right? Attend webinars. Follow financial experts. Learn about your finances and you'll be better off for it. Dear Gen Z, money does not have to stress you to the point of frustration. When you are listing your stressors, money should not be a part of it. Now, with the right steps and strategies, you can de-stress and get a hold of your finances. Thank you for listening. Now, if you found value today, please share the link to this episode, especially with other Gen Zs in your circle. New episodes of the Hot Money Talks podcast drop every Saturday, and you can listen to them on your favorite podcast platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Do well to follow the show on either of these platforms so that you are notified whenever an episode is released. Now, recommendations are powerful, so please tell your friends and your family about this podcast so we can go on this journey together. Do well to follow The Money Mechanic at The Money Mechanic page on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. I hope most importantly that you will take action on your finances today. Sending you love, light, and a sprinkle of money in between.